What is up, guys? William Fletcher here, and welcome to the Leveled Up Contractor Show. Now, if this is your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we're putting out weekly videos to help you grow and manage your contracting business. And if you want more of our templates, tools, and training, be sure to check us out over at leveledupcontractor.com. So in today's training, what I want to talk about is what is a job pipeline report and how can you use a job pipeline report to manage your construction business. This is one of my favorite reports because it can really tell you a story and help you speed up cash flow. And if you've listened to any of my trainings at all, you constantly hear me preach about cash flow because it's just so important, the type of businesses that we run, that money's got to come in. It's an expensive business, a lot of expenses, a lot of money to go out to pay for materials and labor and all the overhead that's involved. So you got to get your money in. The only way to get the money in, guys, is to get jobs through the pipeline so that you can get them completed, get happy customers, and collect the money at the end of the day. And this pipeline report is how we get there. Now I'm going to show you two different versions of this report. One version keeps it super simple. That's what I have on the screen right now. I'm going to walk you through that. And then we have a second version here that I'll show you. That's a little bit more detailed, adds a little bit more information, and I'll walk you through all of it and how it works. So first of all, guys, what is a job pipeline report? And really what this is, guys, is it's basically anything that you have sold that is somewhere in the pipeline, right? So you have contracted to do work on a job and it is considered an open job, so it hasn't been paid in full and it hasn't been closed out of your system. So what you do with this is you break down every stage in your process, right? So when we sell a job, we have a status there for awaiting paperwork. We have a paperwork and approval status. We have a needs scheduled stage. We have a scheduled stage. We have a pending start date stage. We have a work in progress stage, jobs that are waiting for final invoices, and then we have an AR invoice stage. So what this means, guys, is that these are the different stages of our pipeline. So this awaiting paperwork bucket is telling me that I have $102,000 of signed contracts that are waiting for paperwork to get turned in so that we can get them built. And this paperwork and approval section here, this means that paperwork has been turned in and these jobs are getting reviewed and approved. Needs scheduled, this is jobs that have been approved, but we haven't scheduled the jobs yet. Scheduled means that we have scheduled this job and it is waiting to go into production, right? And then we have pending start date. This could be different things. You know, maybe the homeowner isn't ready to do the project yet, or something happened along the way and they had to delay the time, but you don't have a confirmation on when you can build this yet. So you're kind of waiting on some things and you're not sure of an exact start date. So that's what this is, a little bit different than scheduled. Work in progress, this is all the jobs that you are actively working on. And then jobs waiting for final invoice, these are jobs that are completed and we're waiting for either somebody to walk the job and approve that everything is good to go so we can invoice the customer, whatever the case may be, but they're waiting for an invoice. And then ultimately, guys, we have our balance of everything that has been invoiced and the balance that is on those. So this is like your AR balance. And guys, this number here represents, at least the way that I like to look at it, is the remaining balance of those jobs. So for example, let's say that this is $150,000 worth of contracts, right? So we've signed $150,000 worth of jobs and I have that much in awaiting paperwork. What this balance number represents is the remaining balance that we will get paid when we complete this job and invoice the customer. So what that means is essentially I've had $47,000 in down payments on the jobs that are setting and awaiting paperwork. Hence, that's why I have $102,000 in this balance column. And the reason I like to make that distinction, guys, is because one, When I'm looking at this from a cash flow perspective, I want to know that I have $102,000 coming my way, not $150,000. Now, you may be someone that's looking at this from a different perspective and you're saying, no, I don't want to know how much money I have coming on these. I want to know how much revenue is going to hit my profit and loss statement. Now, if that's the case, you may want to, instead of having a balance here, have a revenue column here, or whatever you want to call it, that represents the revenue that will come through when these jobs come through the pipeline. And now if you wanted to, you could also track both, right? I'm not going to completely build this out, but if you wanted to, you could insert a column here and call it revenue, right? And you could plug in the revenue numbers for each one of these columns, and you could track that as well. So not going to do that for this report because it's not something we use, but that's something you can do to customize it. Now, one other key thing that's on the simple version of the job pipeline report is that I have the person that is responsible for it. So one of the things that we teach our clients and really focus on is getting your employees and your managers and the key people in your company to understand the numbers and take responsibility for them. So if I want to know why I have $102,000 awaiting for paperwork, I'm going to my man John here and say, John, what's going on with this? Why do I have $102,000 right now that I can't build because you haven't approved the paperwork? Now, for all I know, without digging into this, is that maybe he got a whole bunch of jobs dumped into his bucket today. But if I'm reviewing this on a regular basis, I can monitor that. And the same thing with the rest of these columns, guys. If I'm going down through here and I'm like, man, we got $500,000 setting in scheduled jobs. Why is there so much money there? Is it because we don't have materials, or what's going on that is causing that delay, and why I have such a big backlog in my scheduled category? So a lot you can do with this, guys. So that's the simple version of the report. Now, if I click over here to the detailed version, you can see that we've added a few columns, all right? And to keep this simple, I put the same exact stages, same exact people, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to explain to you a little bit about how this works. So beginning balance, incoming, outgoing, and ending balance. So if you notice something here, guys, if I go back to the other report, our balance was $2,249,247. If I come over here to the more complex version, you'll see that we have that same exact balance. So at the end of the day, this ending balance column is the same as it is on my simple report because it's tracking the same thing. But what this allows me to do is to say, okay, the last time that I ran this report, I had $92,000 waiting for paperwork. And incoming means that I had $76,000 worth of new jobs coming into awaiting for paperwork. So I had $92,000, I had $76,000 worth of new jobs come in, and I approved almost $66,000. So if I do the math on that, guys, what that means is I started with $92,000 in this bucket the last time I ran this report. The sales reps turned in $76,000 worth of contracts, so I added that amount to our beginning balance. However, I also approved $65,000. So if I back out the outgoing column and I press enter here, guys, you'll see it gets us to our ending balance. So this is helpful because I can track the progress of what's happening in these different buckets, right? I can go down here and I can look through this and I can say, okay, we had $521,000 scheduled, or the last time that I looked at this report, and this time we had $500,000. Now, at first glance, I might look at that and say, are you kidding me? We only produced $21,000 and got that out of scheduled? What the heck is going on there? However, what you'll notice, guys, is that that isn't the case. So I started with $521,000. I produced $218,000 of those jobs to get them out of scheduled. However, I had $197,000 more dollars turned in that I got scheduled. So that went up, and then that leaves me with a balance in that bucket of $500,000. So this really adds to kind of the visibility of what you can see. Now, a really cool thing to do with this, and I'm not going to demonstrate it in this video, but something you should definitely do is you would have another tab on this sheet that basically has the details of all these different buckets. And the way I usually set these up actually is it's not something that I hand key in, is I usually have a data tab here that has all my pipeline jobs in it. So there might be 10 jobs and waiting for paperwork. There might be 50 jobs that are sitting and scheduled, and 20 jobs that are in need scheduled, or whatever the case may be. But I would have a detailed tab on this spreadsheet that would have all of the detailed jobs in it. And then all of these over here would just be formulas that's summing the information from that detailed tab. So that way, when you do it that way, guys, if you want to, if you're like, man, this awaiting paperwork looks off, what is going on here? Well, then you just click over to the other tab, and it's sorted by the stage, so you can dive in and look at it and figure out what's going on. So you have the high level, so you can identify things that look weird to you, and then you have the detailed version on the back end, so you can start to dive into that information. So guys, this is one of the most powerful reports that we use in our business. Like I said, cash flow is such a huge thing for us, and this really just helps us, stay on top of that, see where our money is being held up, and that way we can start pushing things through the pipeline, get our jobs done, get happy customers, and get our money collected. So that does it for this training, guys. Please visit us over at leveledupcontractor.com to schedule a call with us so you can learn more about how you can implement something like this in your business. Talk to you soon.